by coming down to the Tom Warren Company in Amarillo, Texas a number of times, I have observed that there are a number of projects that seem to be in various stages of being restored, modified, one thing and another, and lots of times you can find examples of some of the way that these Diamond T trucks are constructed. And me not being really familiar with a lot of antique vehicles and not being familiar with some of the vehicles using wooden framing in the 20s and 30s, I find that this is quite interesting. And I've got Tom Warren with me, and he is going to tell us a little bit about this particular framing for the bed on this Diamond T truck.
Well, I'm Tom Warren too, and I'm with Tom Warren Vintage Trucks in Amarillo, Texas, also Diamond T Rubber Company. And this is one of the projects that we are currently working on. This is a 1936 Diamond T Model 80, and it's got one of the interesting things about this truck is it has the express bed that was offered as an option. So for extra money, you could get that. It gave you more cargo capacity and a variety of different things like that. And but this was an additional cost, so they didn't sell as many, and they were wood frame. So they were actually built by a commercial bodybuilder back at that time, and like I say, not all of the trucks had them. So
yeah, what were the other options that the trucks would have?
The others were a bed that was a pickup bed. If you were getting a pickup, one of the others was a pickup bed that was manufactured by the Anthony Bed Company.
I see.
And they were an all steel bed. Anthony was actually a dump body manufacturer. They built a lot of different varieties of things. And so, but this one was not built by Anthony. Like I say, it was a specialty bodybuilder. Name eludes me as to which one it was right now. But,
okay. And I presume there were flatbeds as well?
Yes, you could buy flatbeds. You could buy a bed that was quite similar to this that had sides that came up pretty high, close to the top of the cab, that they called a drop side stake.
Okay.
And so those were really stylish, looked almost exactly like the same bed, except the framework came up, they had slots in them, and they were really streamlined for the day, kind of like what you would see with a lot of the stylistic toys of that period. So
yeah.
You know. But anyways, we've actually rebuilt a number of these over the years, probably in the numbers of the dozens. They're an extremely labor-intensive thing. Lots of time manufacturing the wood, lots of time manufacturing the steel if you manufacture the steel. A little bit later, you'll see on this video, there is a truck that is going together next door that has an express bed on it. It's a little bit further along than this one, but this one is right behind that one. So
right.
The steel on the other side, or on the sides of the other one, was manufactured by a man in Montana by the name of Richard Benton. This is, we are manufacturing the steel that goes on this one. So without further ado, I guess Dusty can take a few more pictures and
okay,
show
well,
you around.
can you explain a little bit more about this wooden framing? I presume that you have made up some templates from other restorations
Sure.
that you have done, so you can use that over and over again.
Yes, actually, we used our pattern on the other one. So,
okay.
But we still have pictures if we had to make more or something like that. And but it's all wood construction. A lot of this is oak. There's some maple in there, a little bit of ash. All hardwoods and everything. The floor is solid oak. It has stainless strips that hold the bed planks in and everything like that. Mm-hmm. When this is finished, as you might see on the other one, we clear coated about 3 or 4 times with automotive clear and sand it, and so it's got a mirror-like finish on it. But interestingly enough, you have all of this beautiful woodwork, but it's all covered with steel. So
yes, and that's one thing that I was not aware of before I actually saw some of this wooden framing coming into play.
Sure. Well, and that's the thing is a lot of people don't actually realize how fragile these things are when left out in the weather. And got another one that we'll show you on this video that's out front. That's an original truck, and which is an extremely interesting original truck, being a 1941 model and still got the original rubber or original wood in it.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is all your beautiful work, all the things that make this bed so unique, they all get covered with tin. So.
Right.
And
so since you've got such thin metal which overlays this frame, I'm pretty sure that this framing itself has to be rock solid to keep it from moving around. Does it use mortise and tenons for joining the wood together? I've noticed that in some cases there are some steel elbows there, or 90-degree angles.
You're exactly right. We have, and these weren't like this at the factory, but it's one of the things that we picked up over the years of doing all the various ones that we have. But you actually have to go ahead and you have to gusset these and support them. If you don't gusset them and support them, then what ends up happening is it gets loose and sloppy, and then your tin gets loose and sloppy and things fall off.
Yeah.
And so this is actually extremely tough. And then once you do add the tin on the outside, then it gets even tougher as far as that's concerned. Now, an interesting thing about working on cars that have wood framing for the bodies, what ends up happening is you have to make sure that everything's right. You have to make sure that your wood is right. You have to make sure that everything fits. You have to make sure that your tin is just right, because once you put it on there, it becomes a unit. And like bodies that actually have structural steel in them, they are all have channels and things like that in them. Those have a little bit of flex. Once it goes over wood, it doesn't have flex anymore. So
Right.
everything has to be just so.
Right, and you know, that actually holds true from the earliest vehicles that were pulled by mules, oxen, and
That's right.
you know, because they really didn't have springs,
No.
nor asphalt, smooth asphalt to travel on. They had to be very extremely durable. All of the pieces had to be extremely durable, fit well together, so
Sure.
that it would maintain its structural integrity.
Well, and these things, if done correctly, they are extremely structurally
Yes.
sound and everything. So this one's an interesting one. This bed is 2 inches longer than what the one you'll see later in the video is, or the original one that you'll see some video of. And so this one, by being 2 inches longer, that means they made a couple of different varieties of it. When made a couple of different varieties, you'll see a lot of guys that decide that they would like to have this beautiful stylistic bed on their Diamond T, and they may have the original, what they consider to be the plain type of bed. But if you can't just buy any bed and put it on the other one, you know, some of them
Right.
are longer. I mean, there's some differences there.
Right, and I believe the one next door in the paint booth, even the cab is a little bit longer, so therefore it needed a bed that was a little bit shorter.
Exactly. There's 2 inches difference in the 36 and 37 Model 80 Diamond T cab, which is the pickup of that era, which was rated at 3/4 ton. There is 2 inches difference between that and then the 38 Model 80 and the Diamond T's that are the 201 series and back. And 38 gets muddy because not all of, it's like splitting hairs, not all of the Model 80s actually had the longer cab. So, but there were quite a few built that actually had the longer cab.
I see.
That's one of the things. If a guy's going to go ahead and if he's going to purchase one of these because he feels like that he wants the stylistic bed on there, you better know the one that you're buying.
Right, right. Interesting.
So,
We have a lot of experience on those areas, and
yeah, we've built dozens of these over the years, and they're an awful lot of work. You know,
Yeah.
I talked to a gentleman recently that was having one restored, and he said it was an awful experience, and I told him I could empathize because so many hours go into it, and it's really hard to justify to the customer why you have all the hours in it and all of the different things that go into making it work. But I mean, it's different than just making wood and out of splinters, you know.
Right,
Wood
right.
patterns out of splinters. Then you have to put it all together, and you have to make everything fit, and you have to make your tin
Right.
work, and then you have to gusset it. So anybody that does any kind of woodwork, they can look at that and they can see there's a lot of time in that.
Right.
And
Well, you had mentioned that there is one that belongs to a customer that's sitting outside.
Yes,
You want to take a quick look at that?
sure.
All right.
Today we're replacing the bed on a 1940 Diamond T. This is one of the deluxe beds that Diamond T offered pre-war, and so this is what's called an express bed. The interesting thing about the express beds is they're all wood frame. They have just basically a tin cover on the inside, wood floors and everything. And this truck belongs to Richard Julian in Delaware, and we're doing a restoration on this. We built this bed from scratch. The steel on the side of it, it was made by a gentleman in Montana, and then all the wood was made here at our shop. And so we made the steel before, but I got these in a trade, so we put them on there, and Mr. Ken Richards put it all together, and so we're getting ready to place this on this truck. This is a 1940 model 201 Diamond T, and it's a standard model. And it's got duals. It's pretty custom. It's going to have duals, which is really strange for a Diamond T pickup, but they built a few of them. So we're getting ready to place this, and wish us luck.
A wee bit more.
Does that work?
Yeah, we're gonna have to balance this.
Under as quickly as possible.
Who's gonna push the truck?
We could take a brief break and take the cameraman.
We can't call the trade secrets.
No, we have to keep so much of the trade secrets, but the main thing is the cameraman has to work too.
Yeah, that's still in.
There's a fill in where there's an extra.
You get the roll for this. We put it forward a little bit more.
There's more people around here. They just weren't in here to help.
There you go. That's enough. They're gonna see here in a second.
Yeah, we're really close. I guess we should
It's
put
not
the
right there, and I
put the
think
blocks
the
back.
jack stands might be high enough. Ow! That one hit my finger.
Are you good?
I'm good.
Now we have to do all of our stuff because we'll have to do the same thing when we get ready to paint it.
Yeah.
This thing's hooked up. Okay. Yeah, try.
Let's get the front forward a little bit more.
Feel comfortable pulling on the jack stand?
Oh no, we're gonna. Sorry. Yeah.
know, because I mean, since that's their
I'm
phone.
sorry,
I got mine out.
now we can put a 2x4 across here. And then maybe jack it down with the,
I mean, I got a hold of mine. I got all the pressure off mine.
oh, okay.
Yours all right?
We gotta go forward.
It's like it's supposed to.
That's pretty close right there. I'll have to line up the front mounts. Then we're gonna jack it up to the shim. That's pretty close. And when I get my shims in, we should have a little clearance there. That'll be good.
What, a quarter inch?
We're gonna have very little right there. Very little. Man, that looks nice.
Please get on the frame, because what does that mean?
It's close.
Close. Hey, is this the cab I was working on?
No, it's the one on the
It's
other.
the 80? Who did the work on this one? Did you do it?
What?
Did you do the work on this one?
I did probably 80–90% of the work on this one.
It's not a short cab, is it?
No. I did some welding on it.
Okay, we're kind of starting at the rear end of this truck. It's not nearly quite as pretty as the front end is. But with the angle of the sun, one thing and another, and because we were talking about the beds on these trucks, decided to start out on this end. So here we've got the customer's vehicle. The paint isn't all in that great a condition, and maybe that's partly why the customer brought it in.
Well, actually, this truck belongs to a man. It was purchased by a man out of Canada by the name of Dinesh Gill. And this truck has made the rounds all over the United States. One of the earlier people that we know that actually owned this truck was a really nice man. He's a member of the Diamond T Forum. His name is George Sophia. But anyways, George, this is an original California truck. George had found this truck and he'd restored it back in the 80s, and he'd gone to a bunch of truck shows and things like that. And so from some reason or manner or something like that, this thing ended up, I believe, in the Midwest, and then it ended up here in Amarillo, and then it ended up down at Fort Worth, and it came back to Amarillo. It's going to get a makeover, and then it's going to go to Canada. But the interesting thing about this truck, it's a 201 Diamond T. It's pre-war Diamond T with the deluxe dash and deluxe steering wheel and banjo steering wheel and all of that. So
It's got an awful lot of chrome on it.
it has a ton of chrome. And actually, the truth of the matter is this truck is really just about as loaded up with accessories as you could get any truck of that time. The only things that it doesn't have is it doesn't have a radio. It didn't have the 20-inch wheels. However, Gill has actually located a set of 20-inch rubber that we're going to end up putting on this, so that when he takes it home, it will have the correct rubber.
Oh, great. And yet it still has the same features
Yes.
of the other two trucks that we have looked at, as far as having, as you mentioned earlier, the original wood framing inside the sides of the bed. And I noticed that this is a drop tailgate as well.
Yes. And well, George had done a bunch of restoration work on it and everything from a good solid truck. And so you can't call it totally original, but this thing is actually very much like a time capsule, because it has so many things on it that were untouched. Even though there was cosmetic restoration and everything done, George really maintained the integrity of it overall. And you know, it's got a few more chrome add-ons and things like that, but the truth of the matter is that's one of the things that makes the charm of this truck. It has fender lights on it, but it's got this wonderful express bed that's an all original thing, and it's still a really solid bed. I mean, usually once you get one that's that age, they start losing their integrity and
Yes.
flexing back and forth and things like that. But you know, this will have a 2,000 or 3,000 mile trip home from Amarillo, Texas, to where Gil lives in Vancouver.
Right.
So it's one of those kinds of things. It'll make it. It'll be fine. So
Oh, great. And this, of course, this does feature the final little top cap or rail, I guess as it's called, to protect that wood.
that's right. Neither one of these trucks that you're going to see in the video, aside from the ones that we're working on, they have that yet. We've got all the hinges and everything built to install the tailgate. We're just not at that process yet.
Right.
So, but like on the one that you saw in there with no skin on it, we've gone ahead and we'd already built the mounts for the rear bumper and everything like that. So we have a very near original bumper that's on the back of that one. We've got one that's almost the equivalent that we're putting on the one in the paint room. All of that stuff is built, so we're at the final stages. It's just not quite finished yet, but we're almost there.
All right, so all of you viewers can stay tuned to this channel, and I'll try my best to follow along with the progress of some of these wonderful Diamond T trucks.
Thanks very much. And I'm Tom Warren too, from Tom Warren Advanced Trucks in Amarillo, Texas, and Diamond T Rubber. We hope to see you down the road.
All right, well, I don't mean to keep you from your work. I know you're very busy, and I'll just kind of show our viewers some of the eye candy on this truck here a little bit, and we'll close out.